Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
Eagles! Swinging a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup. The Flyers win the Stanley Cup for the lead. Yes!
Iverson, wow, what a fake off Daniels as he broke his ankles and got all the way to the cup.
What's up?
Hi,
What is
Dom.
up? Episode 90.
Episode, oh my God, 10.
90. Rich, we got
10,
10
11.
episodes till the century mark, brother.
Jesus, what, I don't even
Yeah,
know what to
right?
say, man. 90 episode, that's crazy. Starting out in Oscar's basement, and Jesus Christ.
On a folding chair with a laptop in Oscar's basement.
Don, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Rich, at one point, I got to dig through the annals. I came across some of the original episodes on YouTube.
Did you?
Right around the century mark. We're gonna have to share those out.
Oh, man, the good days. Me, Nick, and Oscar on a folding table. That was in my mudroom. Yo, Mike, what's up?
What up?
Mike, we got to talk soon, pal. We got to talk.
Mike, we're gonna chat it. We're gonna chat it up, Mike.
We're going to chat it up, pal.
And listen, if you saw the fired up Twitter feed,
Big news
set your
coming.
notifications for tomorrow. Apparently, they got some big news dropping.
Big news, Mike. We
got Adam checking in, Chris checking in.
Adam, Chris. I was going amen to that, brother.
You and the entire Eagles nation.
I'm happy you went to the game, bud. I'm happy you were able to make it to the game and had a good time.
That's awesome, brother.
And you're going to this Phillies, dude, man. You're living the life, Chris.
I want to come back as Chris.
I know, right? If I'm going away, I'm coming back as Chris. I'm going to be a good ballroom dancer, and I'm going to all the games. Not
Right.
even that.
Adam's going to games.
Adam's
going
going
to the games.
I know. Adam's always at like every sporting event, I feel. God bless him. Jesus.
They're out there just living their best life, man.
Oh, no. I'm not even mad. I'm
Okay.
impressed. You pooped in the refrigerator and you ate a whole wheel of cheese. I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. But how about it, Don? How about our boys handling business on Sunday night football?
Sunday night football, right? You wait around all day. It's it was a game that played out in a weird, funky way, right? It starts off right. They end up being up 20-0.
Yeah.
They score all those first 20 points all in the second quarter. And that's something we might want to touch on is how impressive that second quarter has been. And then, the only problem that I have is that they let their foot off the gas in the second half. They slowly but surely let the Cowboys kind of creep back in and get that momentum, right? They give up the field goal going into halftime, and then they give up the long drive with Zeke. He scores, and then you get the touchdown pass from Cooper Rush to make it 20-17. You score 20, and then you give up 17 unanswered.
Yeah.
You gotta pump the brakes at some point, and you gotta be able to figure out what do I gotta do to stop that run.
Well, and nobody even I didn't even realize Lane Johnson got hurt.
Yeah,
which was strange.
Ends up in concussion protocol.
Yeah,
which
ends up in a concussion.
Going into a bye week, I'm okay with, right? Because you have that extended time to be able for him to come back.
Yeah, which I'm completely content that everybody's going to get healthy and we're going to be good. But if you saw the change in the offense when Lane was out, that's when Dallas was starting to get pressure. That's when you saw the shift in momentum a little bit. I still didn't think the Eagles were going to lose the game because then you come back and the Eagles score a touchdown and, all is well.
Right,
But
they get the touchdown to Devontae, in the fourth to make it 26.
the thing that was frustrating me the most was, honestly, again, it's with Gannon. The Eagles couldn't stop, honestly, one fucking play. And it was that creep out of the tight end that was, fake block, gets lost in the line, and they ran it like 3 times in a row. And it was just getting chunked out. Same thing with the Eagles. The Eagles were running that, okay, you put A.J. Brown in motion, and Minka Fitzpatrick just stands there, and you hit A.J. Brown all day.
Yeah, they're not the plays that the Cowboys are running were not like these elaborate plays.
No.
They were very, very simple scheme plays. So, and Rich, I think you saw on the defensive side, right? They saw Lane Johnson go out and they said, like, eyes got wide.
Yeah.
We're going to just put Parsons there and just let Parsons just kind of wreak havoc.
And exactly.
You saw how good he was, right?
Yeah.
When you see that they're able to put him in a position to be able to take advantage of, not playing the other team's number one. And you also saw him, kind of play all over the field. He is every ounce of that defensive player of the year when you realize, and they said it during the commentary, and they're saying it kind of tongue in cheek, but you really could put him anywhere on the field. And
agreed.
And he would I don't know if he necessarily would be an all-pro, right? But he would survive in that position and be successful.
Yeah, I mean, he's a force. And you saw exactly what you said. They put him right over Driscoll. And you have Randy Gregory and, right, Randy Gregory? It's not, or is it Lawrence? Who was it, Lawrence?
Yeah.
Or Randy Gregory?
Marcus Lawrence.
Randy Gregory's on the Denver, I'm sorry. Yeah, they put DeMarcus Lawrence right over top of Driscoll, and they put Minka Fitzpatrick right behind him, and it's just kind of like Driscoll was good luck. When with Lane Johnson, it was more or less, making DeMarcus Lawrence his son, because that's what he does. He owns it. But it was just a surprising game overall for me, because I'm kind of sick of seeing the Eagles rely on their defense in the second half. They make things a little too close, which, I mean, the defense plays out of their minds. But you see Gannon kind of get laxed, and it's like, okay, you're up 20, so let's not step on the gas. Like, why not step on the gas? Like, push it. Let's see some second-half touchdowns. Let's see some scoring. Like, this Eagles team is coasting through the first half, like scoring 20 to 27 points, and then in the second half, they just go flat. Because they're like, okay, let's pump the brakes and let's let the defense work. How about we keep our defense fresh and off the field? We run the ball. We execute the same plays that we were doing in the first half because they're not being stopped. Show me more. Like, be aggressive. Like, I get Sirianni wants to get everybody off the field healthy and fine, but we can't, especially when we play better competition, we need to keep scoring points. It was surprising that Gannon wasn't blitzing as much with Cooper Rush, because when Cooper Rush had a guy in his face, he was throwing picks. Like, Cooper Rush looked terrible against the rush, which is hilarious to say because it's Cooper Rush and Rush. It makes me laugh. But I digress.
No, I agree. I think that was one thing that surprised me.
I wasn't happy with the play calling in the second half. I wasn't happy with the defensive play calling at all during the game because they weren't getting pressure. And then you look what happens when you actually play Jordan Davis a majority of the snaps. It goes from 5 yards a carry to under 4. Like, he is a monster.
And that dude needs – you slowly starting to see them trust him more.
Yeah.
Because you see the statistic that you're talking about, Rich, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 6 yards a carry when he's off the field.
Yeah,
and in the low 3s when he's on the field. Like, it's dramatically different whether he's making the defensive play or whether he's consuming blockers so that other people can make those plays. I watched a play in that game where he chases down a guy that caught a screen pass that was like 35 yards down the field. Like, he is a dramatic, game-changing player. Glad he's playing for us.
Hell yeah.
And he's creating that space for all those guys. And you're seeing the effects of all of those guys that they brought in on those prove-it deals, right? Kazir White, you're getting the best out of Kazir White.
Yep.
You're getting the best out of James Bradbury.
You need the sign.
You're getting better than what you thought you were going to get out of CJ GJ, right? All those guys are hitting. I think I thought in this game when they're up, they're up 20-3 at halftime.
Yeah.
And they got the ball back.
Yeah.
That was your opportunity to step on the neck and just come out of the half, score points, go up 27-3 and put the game away.
Why they're not doing that is astonishing. You defer. That means you're coming out at the second half with the ball and you need to score points, and they don't. It's beyond me to be so laxed in the second half when you still need to score points. You still need to show that, okay, I can dominate in both halves. Because what happens if you play a better team? Yeah, you're up 20-3, and all of a sudden now it's 20-17. It's a complete momentum shift. What happens? You need to see the play calling be better. You need to see the defensive play calling be better, which was the problem last year.
Right.
You have to execute. Why go away from the blitz? Why go away from the run again? If things are working, let them work. But then they put together these long sustained drives in the second half, which you want to see, and they come out with points. And Jalen Hurts looks great. Jalen Hurts looked phenomenal Sunday, and he had his lowest rushing total of the year.
Yeah, you're seeing him win in a different fashion, which is...
And that's exactly what you want to see out of your quarterback.
Correct.
So let him throw the ball. Let him, in the second half, take control of this offense. Hand the ball off to Miles Sanders. Hand the ball off to Kenneth Gainwell. Set up some screens. Yeah, I get Lane Johnson's out, and you just want to protect the lead. But you also have to step on the gas, because the best way to protect the lead is to score points.
Right.
And when you're not doing that, and your defense isn't executing, you're not blitzing, you're not getting much of a pass rush when you're only sending 4, send a guy on the weak side. Dallas's line is not good. Don't blitz on Steele's side. Steele's been the only good offensive lineman they had. Load up the right side. Send the blitz. Send Hassan Reddick. Why you're not doing that, force them to keep that tight end in so they can't run those stupid little fucking fake block across the middle, get 20 yards on a 2-yard pass, which they got beat on multiple times. That's the only play that Dallas was successful on. But then when you see Cooper Rush getting some guys in his face, he tries to throw the ball downfield, it's picked or it's deflected, or he doesn't have time to throw the ball. This is what you wanted to see. The Eagles, when they were going against Washington, when they got 9 sacks, that should be your defense. That should be your defense.
Every week.
Game plan. Every week, that should be your game plan.
And when you have a guy that you're playing against like Cooper Rush, right? There's an opportunity to go take that spot.
That's what I'm saying. They should have had at least 5 sacks, and I don't think they recorded 1.
I'd have to go back and look the team stats.
I think at halftime they did not have a sack at halftime. So if they did have 1 in the second half, then it was 1. But I know at halftime they did not have a sack, which I found was completely insane because they were getting some pressure when they set the blitz, but they did not. They didn't get home as much as I thought. And again, that's on Gannon.
Yeah. So I'm looking. Hold on 1 second. All right. So
we're fancy. We're drinking.
I don't think so, Rich. I think you might be right.
Belgian cask aged.
Yeah, no sacks for that whole game, and that's an atrocity, right? You had the opportunity to be able to take advantage of the fact that you're playing not Dak Prescott, right? That you can go and kind of let loose, because you can't tell me that game or that team, is not that, or not that team. You can't tell me that quarterback, Cooper Rush, is not nearly as the same as Carson Wentz. Right? Like that guy.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Those guys are kind of in the same family. So why you wouldn't attack that is beyond me.
It was extremely strange to see. I just was questioning a lot of it, and I just didn't understand it. But going back to those key free agent acquisitions, those are the guys, honestly, we need to sign. And we need to pull money out of the Rams playbook, and Howie needs to do what Howie did before. You need to start deferring money down the road.
Yeah,
because
you got to kick the can down the road a little bit.
you need James Bradbury for another 2 years. You need Kazir White. You lock him up for another 2 years. You lock up Gardner Johnson for another 2 years, and you keep this team on the field because this team playing together is where they're at. And you also, after the Saints lose tonight, you're going to have a top 5.
Yeah, you're going to have a top 5 pick, right? And
like everything is falling into the cards, and this way you can go out and get another pass rush, or you can get a lockdown corner. Because honestly, if I was the Eagles, hindsight's 2020, trade 2 of those picks up, you get Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner is a fucking monster this year.
Dude,
he
is a fucking animal.
He is insane. Like, he might be my favorite corner in the league. He just off the things that he's doing right now. And I didn't even realize, oh shit, the game started at 8:15. I was like, I just looked over. I'm like, they're playing football. What a beautiful thing. But you need to lock these guys up. Like, we need to keep this team together because this team is playing so well and they're only getting better and they're only trusting and believing in each other more as the season goes on. Yeah, and this is exactly what you wanted to see coming from this Eagles team this year. You wanted to see how Jalen Hurts responded to the criticism and how he would adapt and change his game, which he is doing. You wanted to give Gannon the benefit of the doubt now that he's got talent, but he's still letting me down. I still think the dude – I'm still under the assumption that this guy thinks he's smarter than what he is. And I think that's what's going to kill the Eagles in the long run. I don't think it's going to be the actual skill on the defensive side. It's the lack of trust that I have in Gannon to actually call a good defensive game. Because as good as this defense has looked, they should be looking a lot better, especially with the front 7 that they have. But the pressure they're not generating out of the 4, because Fletcher Cox looks absolutely washed. I really don't think Fletcher Cox is going to be here next year, and I hope he's not. Because to me, he hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked good since Washington, and that was against Washington's atrocious line. I'm not impressed by the play of Fletcher Cox. I'm more impressed by Hargraves and Jordan Davis. You give me another speed guy, speed rusher. You could fucking switch to a 3-4 right now and have it be Sweat, Davis, Hargraves. And on the outside, you can have Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, TJ Edwards, Kazir White. And you would be absolutely fine because the impact that Fletcher Cox is making is minimal.
The craziest thing about that, Rich, is that even in a 3-4, you still can't get Nakobe Dean on the field because the guys ahead of him
are so
playing
good.
So well.
So good.
Yeah. But Rich, if there's a guy at the top of that draft that I'm looking at that is like a game-changing player, I'm looking at Will Anderson from Alabama.
Oh yeah, he's probably
just,
the yeah.
He everything that I see on tape from him, it looks like I'm watching Micah Parsons at Penn State.
Yeah.
Right. Dude is 6'4", 245, runs like a gazelle. That to me, if you're in the top, if you're looking at that Saints pick in the top 5, he's a dude who can just game change on the defensive end, right? And you can literally you can make him the Joker and literally put him anywhere.
1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, everybody is pretty much calling for this guy to be a consensus top 5 pick. And if we have a consensus top 5, if we have a top 5 pick, that's one of the guys that I would go after because they're always going to be the quarterback controversy. There's going to be a quarterback drafted. Dallas sucks. Amen to that, Adam.
Absolutely.
Dallas fucking sucks, and I am not worried about it.
Yeah.
Leo, thank you for watching.
Appreciate you.
It's just one of those things that I just look at this team and I see where our weaknesses and I really can't spot one besides play calling and coaching as of right now. I think Nick Sirianni is coaching a great game. I love the fact that he's hands off and he's being able to watch, but he also needs to direct Gannon into you can see this. Like you can see this stuff, and it's one of those things that really annoys me. Like you need to tell Gannon, like, dude, why aren't we blitzing? This guy is barely a second string quarterback. Like, this is it makes zero sense. Like, and it really pisses me off.
Yeah. That to me is the biggest thing coming out of the bye is going to be what are the adjustments that they make in those games, right? Because if you look at the stretch after they come out of the bye, right, they're going to play Pittsburgh at home, then they're going to go to Houston, and they're going to be playing on Thursday night right before the Phillies play Game 6 against the Astros.
Yeah,
in the World Series.
Their Thursday night game is coming up this Thursday.
No. They play next Sunday, the 30th. They play Pittsburgh.
Okay, Pittsburgh. I knew that was next on the schedule.
And then they play Houston on the 3rd.
Crazy.
And then they play Monday night against Washington.
Okay. Well, that's nice. I like the fact that after that Thursday night game, we get a little extended break, which is
right.
good.
There's a little bit of an extended break, so you've almost got a second bye.
Yeah.
Right, because you're going to play Thursday the 3rd, and then not play again until Monday the 14th, which will be nice.
Yeah.
So
I'm for that.
But the craziest, like you're looking at games, like there's not a game throughout the rest of the season that they're probably going to be favored in. They're probably going to be favored in every single game.
Yeah. I mean, they should be. I don't see why not.
But when they come out of this bye,
yeah.
they've got to have the corrections made to be able to, if they've got the lead, if they've got a 20-3 lead at halftime and they're getting the ball coming out, that they score on that first possession.
Yeah.
That Gannon is looking at a subpar quarterback and takes advantage of that. And, to quote the Remember the Titans, you blitz all night.
It boggles my mind because it's like either I'm blinded by my hate for Gannon, which I really don't think that I hate the guy. I just don't really like the way he coaches. I don't like that everybody calls him a genius. Or is what I'm watching and what I would do in that situation different? Because it's like, it's easy to be like a quarterback or a couch quarterback, couch defensive coordinator or whatever. But like I'm seeing Dallas doesn't have the line that they used to have. We're not getting pressure in the front four. You're giving Cooper Rush too much time. When he's pressured, he makes bad decisions. Why aren't you pressuring him more? True. Hassan Reddick goes from being player of the week, defensive player of the week, to being non-existent in that game. Excuse me. Why? Because coaching. Let that man go free. You blitz the right side of that line.
Yeah, true.
You force Cooper Rush to throw the ball. You did the same fucking thing to Carson Wentz. What's the difference?
What am I missing here?
And let's be real. CeeDee Lamb is fantastic, right? Okay, CeeDee Lamb's fantastic. He can beat you. That's it. I was more scared of Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and Jahan Dotson when we played Washington.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the common denominator was bad quarterback play from the Redskins and Dallas. What the fuck is the difference? What is the difference? Because I have CeeDee Lamb that you're not sending the blitz. You're so worried about him hitting a home run when Cooper Rush can't throw the ball 10 yards down the field. To me, it makes no sense. Carson Wentz is more dangerous than Cooper Rush because Carson Wentz has legs. Cooper Rush is a fucking statue. That guy cannot run. It just pissed me off to no end that you're letting this guy have fucking time and you're not blitzing him. But when he was pressured, he throws 3 picks. Like, come on, Gannon. The defense could have easily had 6 picks on Sunday night if they actually applied pressure.
Yeah, and that's the great. Like you had games earlier this season where you could have had multiple picks. You could have had what was the one game where they had 3, but they could have had like 6. It was the one game where
Slay dropped one. Minnesota.
The Minnesota, right? So, like I think that coming out of this break, right, they see and hopefully they make those adjustments to be able to get the corrections made on the field so that these games, you don't let a team like the Cowboys even breathe, right? Yeah. They're going to have games. The game that I'm looking at, if I'm not trying to look ahead, but like when I look at that stretch where you're going to play the Packers, the Titans, and the Giants, right? That's going to be a tough stretch. You're not going to be able to be in those games and make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to capitalize on the fact that your defensive backs are going to have to play lights out like they have been against Aaron Rodgers, right? Because Aaron Rodgers can win a game if he wants to.
Yes.
Even though he's not playing great right now, they can still win a game if he wants to.
Well, he's not playing great because there's no Devontae Adams. There's no Devontae Adams. There's no clear. And honestly, dude, I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers. I'm sick of fucking Tom Brady. Two fucking prima donna crybabies. Tom Brady is out there yelling at his offensive line. Green Bay and with fucking Aaron Rodgers out there yelling at his fucking offensive line. It's like, dude, you guys aren't shit. All right? Stop yelling at your fucking offensive lines. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't such a fucking diva and such a fucking weirdo, Devontae Adams would have still been there.
He used to be there.
He was under the assumption that Devontae Adams was signing a contract and Devontae Adams was going to be there. They didn't talk all offseason. So how can you assume just because, you're there, that he's going to fucking be there? Nah. And to Moyo's point of view, I don't give a fuck if Tom Brady's the GOAT. Tom Brady's never completed a fucking pass longer than 30 yards in the Super Bowl. He's not the fucking GOAT. Every single fucking team he played for had elite defenses, and they were all fucking stacked. Nick Foles is the GOAT because Nick Foles got it. And we all seen how fucking Nick Foles made it. Tom Brady, in my eyes, is not the GOAT because half of those rings can be contributed to his defense. He was just a fucking game. I'm going to say he's a fucking game manager when it comes to those. Like when they beat, when they beat LA and they barely scored fucking 10 points. Right? They beat the Rams? Didn't they beat the Rams? And it was Sony Michel, who was
one of the most boring Super Bowls ever.
Yeah, one of the most boring Super Bowls ever. I'm sick of the whole Tom Brady debate of him being the best. Tom Brady is just, I just can't do it. But then you have Green Bay coming. You have Green Bay coming in, right? Because we're not going to Lambeau. They're coming to us.
They're coming to us.
They're coming to us. So we have Green Bay coming to us. Yes, it's going to be cold. But Aaron Rodgers, I am not afraid of without Devontae Adams because Matt LaFleur isn't smart enough to realize that he's got two standout running backs that he does not want to use. It's crazy.
It blows my mind. Blows my mind how much they have there that they could devise an offense to be able to center around those two guys, and they just don't.
Yeah.
The Giants are playing well.
No, the Giants' defense is rolling, and they have a head coach who's competent. They're winning. They're what? 5-1.
5-1
without any wide receiver. Without any wide receivers.
Yeah,
that's insane.
They're basically turning around and handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley 45 times, right? And just say, run the ball as far and as fast as you can go, and then we'll let Daniel Jones throw the ball 15 times.
Yeah.
Brian Dable is not an idiot. That dude is a smart football guy. So and
it's fucking crazy because his offense isn't scoring points and they're winning.
But they're winning games.
And that's what you kind of have to do. And to answer your question, I really don't have a GOAT because I don't think we've seen one yet. I really don't. It's so hard because it's I'm trying to look at, yes, Tom Brady's career is illustrious, the Super Bowl rings. But I look at how great some of those defenses were. And then I just kind of look at it and I'm like, a lot of inflation. When you dig really deep into the whole Tom Brady GOAT and you look at the rings, yes, I get it. He's got the most rings. You dive deep into some of the advanced stats of how good those defenses were that he played on and how mediocre he honestly is in Super Bowls. I don't know. I would love to crown the greatest quarterback of all time. But I really can't because you look at the different eras you have. I mean, how many Super Bowls does Steve Young have?
Oh.
Russell Wilson has what? 1, 2? Peyton's got 2. Peyton looked shot in his Super Bowl, but I love Peyton. Drew Brees has 1. I'm not a really big Drew Brees fan. I don't know, man. It's so tough.
For me, I'm looking at a guy that I watched all throughout my childhood that, seemed to do more to elevate the players around him, and the players around him were elite. I look at a guy like Montana, right? Even though Montana doesn't have the rings that Brady has, I think he did more with what was around him, even when the guys around him were elite.
I could say that about
like
I like
Jerry
that.
Rice, John Taylor, Tom Rathman, Roger Craig. Who's the tight end I'm missing? Clark. Right, like you had elite talent around him, and you made them better, right? And so, like for me, like that's the guy, right? If I had to go, above that, it's hard to argue Peyton Manning,
I love Peyton.
right?
I really do.
I think in terms of quarterback play, right? Like you could probably argue that Manning is a smarter quarterback. They gave him the playbook far earlier than Brady ever got it.
Yeah.
And they let him kind of run with it, which I'm okay with. So for me, I would go those two guys before I went Brady, because the easy
Adam
out
brings up Terry Bradshaw. Yeah.
Yeah. Terry Bradshaw, listen, like a guy like Rich, you think about a guy like Marino, right? Marino was filling up the stat sheets.
But 0 rings. So
Right,
it's like
0 rings.
automatically like excluded from the conversation. I still think there's some things that I love Mahomes. There's some things that Mahomes are doing great. There's some things that he's not. He's going to be elite for a long time. But I still really don't think we've seen the best from Josh Allen. And that guy is a fucking monster. From where Josh Allen came in college as being a guy who was like a 47% completion passer, could not hit water if he fell out of a boat, to the strides that he made to the NFL and how good he is looking, it's absolutely insane. And no, MJ's the GOAT. MJ's the GOAT. No, not even because of Pippen. Like that's an afterthought. MJ is
and listen,
the absolute GOAT and best.
That it's hard to compare to cross over and compare those sports, right? And like basketball, you're talking about 5 guys on the court. So the guys that are on the court have dramatically more of an effect on the play on the court.
Brady's not the best. And here's the thing. Brady's not even the best quarterback of all time. The best quarterback of all time is Peyton Manning. The best passer of all time is Aaron Rodgers. Because if I have a guy who I want in to win based off his abilities in his prime, I'm taking Peyton Manning as a passer. As a quarterback, to run my team. As a passer, I want a guy who's going to make any type of throw that I need him to make in a big-time game. I'm going Aaron Rodgers. Like Tom Brady might be the GOAT because of what he's accomplished on, but to me, the greatest quarterback of all time is Peyton Manning. The greatest passer is Aaron Rodgers, because that guy's made some ridiculous fucking throws. Like Matthew Stafford has his first Super Bowl. That dude is absolute garbage this year. And it just shows you what it looks like when you're locking in on one guy and he's not that good. And that's a guy who filled up the stat sheet in Detroit, because that's all you had to do was throw the ball, because they couldn't do anything else.
Right.
So Matthew Stafford, to me, everything about his career is inflated. But if you look, if I want a guy to run my team as a quarterback, I want Peyton Manning. If I want a guy to go out there and sling the rock around and I need some crazy ass shit to happen, I need a passer, I am taking Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady doesn't fall in that category with me.
Yeah.
Well, he's got rings. He's got rings to prove it, but you also have to look. The whole thing is you have to look at the defenses that took him there. Half of those Super Bowls, he had the number 1 ranked overall defense. Every single fucking year he was in there. It's going to make it a lot easier when you have the number 1 ranked defense and you have Tom Brady in there. The dude's never thrown for over like a 35-yard pass in the Super Bowl. Because he's never had to, because his defense was that fucking good.
Yeah, and don't overlook the fact that the combo of him and Belichick, right? Belichick is an elite coach.
Yeah, that dude can outcoach anybody.
Right. So
he's using Brian Zappi and fucking blowing teams out. He's blowing teams out with their 3rd string quarterback. He's making everybody look good. It's what Belichick does.
Yeah. So I think,
and Tom Brady's I'm not going to complete passes to Chris Godwin when he's wide open.
Yeah, I think. Listen, we can say rings matter, right? Rings are part. They're part of the conversation, but just be like, listen. there are a lot of guys that we could have conversations about that have rings that that aren't even in the business of this conversation.
Trent Dilfer.
Right. So rings are part of the conversation.
Joe Flacco.
Right, but they are not the conversation. They're not. It's not the penultimate. When you look at the entire package, right? Like if I look at a guy like Montana, right? Montana to me has all of those things, right? In terms of elite play, making players better, and the rings, and the stats, like that to me says more than like. Brady's stats are going to look super inflated because of how long he's played. But, I won't argue the fact that he was able to win with the teams that he played on.
Yeah.
But if you take Tom Brady off of that team with that coach and you put him on any other roster, I don't think he has the same career. I really don't. I don't think he did. I think he was more of a product of his environment. Yeah. He was a product of spending 2 decades with an insanely smart football coach.
And then he goes to Bruce Arians, who's another insanely smart football coach.
Right.
And they load that team up around him with talent. It's not like he went to Tampa Bay and goes, oh, there's nobody down here. Look at the wide receiving core. They bring in Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette has a resurgence in his career. Then they bring in perennial ring chaser and Ndamukong Suh to lock down that defense that was already pretty much astounding. Like, is McNabb a better quarterback? Yeah, he's a way better quarterback than Foles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Foles has a ring, McNabb doesn't. And that's that's why the whole rings thing. Yeah, Foles had one season where he played out of his mind for half of it.
Yeah.
McNabb was good with no one for many years. And then he has T.O., and then whatever, we get to the Super Bowl, which the Eagles didn't die. They didn't roll over. It was I'll never forget that Super Bowl. It made me cry. It was a long walk home. It's so tough. And that's like the whole I'm glad we got on this conversation because we needed something else.
We needed something else to talk about.
Yeah. To me, it's just like one of those things where you dive deep into the Super Bowls with Tom Brady. You look at the defensive rankings and the defensive stats. You look at Tom Brady's play, and you're like, yeah. I mean, Tom Brady. I'm not going to take the 5 rings away from him.
No, not at all.
To me personally, I think Peyton Manning was a better overall quarterback. And so obviously Peyton Manning just couldn't play anymore, but still won a fucking ring in Denver with that amazing defense.
Right.
And then you have Aaron Rodgers who could just sling the ball. But I'm excited to see the young kids play. And I love the fact that this game is ever changing and it's still growing, because who would have thought, Don, you grew up watching Montana and then you see the shift into Brady. And now you're seeing the shift into these young guys where the game is just rapidly changing.
Yeah.
We don't know if another quarterback is ever going to hit 5 rings because let's be real.
Are they going to stick around long enough to be able to play? Right? Like the game this weekend, watching the Bills Chiefs game, was incredible to watch those two battle. And I was watching it, Rich, and I was having, the feels of, the Brady Manning, right? The battles that they had
way closer than I thought, because
correct.
Kansas City not having the offensive firepower without Tyreek Hill really kills them. And I think that's another thing that we have to realize. Money talks in the NFL now. So these big name wide receivers are going to go wherever they get fucking paid.
Yep.
Like, imagine if Tyreek Hill decided, hey, I'm going to give the hometown discount to KC and I'm going to stay. He didn't. He took the money. He walked. Will he win a championship with Tua? I don't know. He already has one with Mahomes, so it is what it is.
Right.
It's just you're going to see an ever-change. You're not going to see the people with Tom Brady taking a pay cut and then everybody else taking a pay cut to play with Tom Brady. No one's going to take pay cuts anymore. Hey, man, you take a pay cut, you get to play with Patrick Mahomes. People are like, fuck this, I'm getting my bag. Like, no, I need to retire. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'll go play with the
Like-
shittiest quarterback. I'll go play
Like-
with fucking Russell Wilson out in Denver. I don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah, because
you're gonna do that.
you I mean, listen, you only have that. The thing about professional sports is these guys have this very finite window.
Yeah,
Right? You
it's
got
a
this
small
window,
fucking window.
for like for most guys, it's about a 10-year window, and for even
That's a
greater
10-year
majority,
window
it's
for a quarterback, Don. Because
it's even less.
A running back or a wide receiver, you're looking at a smaller window. You're saying for a running back, at most maybe a year and a half if they don't sustain an injury. Wide receiver, a little bit longer. But
running backs are disposable at this point.
Yeah, and you see that now. You see running backs just getting thrown on the trash heap and get picked up and pulled every which way. And Moyer, he asked the question: would you rather have the Super Bowl? I'm always going to take the Super Bowl because that's what we needed as Eagles fans. I still love McNabb for the 10 years that we had him, but of course I'd rather take the Super Bowl. That's a loaded question because I love the years that we had with McNabb and the success we had under Andy Reid.
You were in it every year.
Yeah,
you were going to be in the conversation with him every year.
But I'm always going to take a Super Bowl. I don't care if it was a Super Bowl with fucking Joe Montana's brother, Troy Montana. Like I don't care if we won it with Don Conaway as our quarterback. I'm taking the Super Bowl.
I'll take that back.
That's why we're in this as fans. Like, we want to see our teams win. Like, we want to, and that's it, the thing that I appreciate the most about Andy Reid and his time here, because he always had us in it. It was hard to get us over the hump because we really didn't treasure offensive firepower, which was absolutely strange. But I mean, you're looking at this league and you're seeing just the way that evolves. Like we said, I don't see Mahomes winning 5 rings. I see him maybe winning 2 more. I don't see Josh Allen winning more than 3 because things change overnight in a heartbeat.
It really does.
Guys don't take discounts to stay together. They don't. If Gabe Davis goes out and has, a 2,000-yard season this year or next year, you think Gabe Davis is going to go, I'm going to stay with Josh Allen even though he's the one who's getting me the ball? Fuck no. He's going to go down and play with Trevor Lawrence because they're going to give him money.
Yep.
These guys there's no loyalty in the game, and I'm not mad about it. Get your back.
Look no further than Christian Kirk, right?
Yeah.
Jacksonville was going to pay somebody. Might as well be me.
Yeah, might as well. Fuck it. I'm taking my money.
Because the Eagles were in on him.
Yeah.
Before they were in on A.J. Brown, they were in on Christian Kirk, right? And, thankfully things worked out the way that they did. But Christian Kirk was like, oh, Jacksonville, you're going to offer me a shit ton of money so no one in my family ever has to work ever again in their entire life? Yeah, I'm going to go play football for the Jaguars.
If Justin Jefferson doesn't get $200 million from the Vikings and the Bears offer him $210 million,
right?
What are you going to do? I'm going to move to the Bears. I'm drinking a Rodenbach Classic. It's a delicious, refreshing, oak-aged Belgian sour. It's very
nice.
good. Yeah, I mean, Rodenbach does good beers. Their sours are usually like super sour, but honestly, this is really good. My dad's like, I think my uncle got it for him for his birthday. He left it on my counter, and he was like, I don't want this shit. I had this shit before. And I was like, Dad, I'm like, it's a good beer. So I took one over to my buddy's house on Sunday, my buddy Pat. We watched the game, and I cracked first, and I'm like, I have no idea why the fuck he didn't want this. I'm like, this is good. I'm like, I'm used to it. But I'm like,
listen, Rich, now that we're talking about beers, shout out to our sponsor, Von C.
Von C.
There's nothing else to be drinking right now with the way that the Phillies are playing than the 700 level Vienna style lager from Von C.
Baby.
So they got it in places all over. You can go check out their website. You can see wherever you want to buy their stuff. You can stop by the tasting room on Sturgis Street in Norristown. They got all their stuff is in cans and on draft. So go check them out. They got food trucks in there. They got the Maine Lobster food truck coming in tomorrow. So shout out. Yeah, they got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. So and we're gonna make our way over there at some point. We're gonna pop over there and do a little meet and greet live show, check out some stuff, and just really excited about that partnership.
Don, I think it's time for our fantasy break.
All right, here we go.
Losing Sucks.
Drunk on Broad, what's up, boys? It's Travis from the Losing Sucks Fantasy Football Podcast. 6 weeks are in the books. We are moving on to week 7. Let's recap really quick what we just saw this past weekend in week 6. Starting it off with Ramondre Stevenson, the number 1 overall running back on the week. With Damian Harris expected to be sidelined again, maybe for another 2 to 3 weeks. With a hamstring injury, we think Ramondre Stevenson has another huge week, maybe another top 5 or 10 in him this week. Fun fact for you right here. When we think about Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley, you think elite pass-catching running backs, right? Most people would agree with that. Those two guys have 26 targets apiece so far this season. Austin Eckler has 49 targets. This is unbelievable what we're seeing from Austin Eckler, on pace for over 145 targets. I don't see a slowdown. I don't have any problem with trading for Austin Eckler and moving out almost any piece in fantasy football. To the receivers, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs show up in a big way for you. These two guys are both in the top 5 right now at receiver and are paying off their draft costs, so you love to see that. Brandon Ayuk, Allen Robinson, and Juju Smith-Schuster join the party. It's about time, 6 weeks in, for these guys to finally show up. The mid-round wide receiver darlings, probably on a lot of people's benches, but at least they're finally showing some life. The weekly who got left out of the fun for the dominant Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas Goedert gets it this time. I'm not worried about him. The big 5 are always going to be in your lineup. Jalen Hurts, Brown, Smith, Sanders, and Goddard. If you have them, put them in there. It's going to work out more times than not. We say it every week. Looking ahead to week 7 now, a few guys that I am loving this week. A cold Aaron Rodgers is going to absolutely light up Washington. The bad man is a madman this week, and I think a bold call of 300-plus yards, 4 touchdowns is on tap. I think we see the biggest week, maybe of the season, for Aaron Rodgers this week. Kenneth Walker looked incredible in his first game as a starter. He should be a top 12 option moving forward, and every week he seems to be matchup proof. He's running, he's catching. He looks really nice. I completely underrated him. I wish I had more shares of Kenneth Walker. I know Najee gave you a touchdown and bailed out the day. However, I think it's going to be rough for Najee. We've been saying this for a couple weeks. It's going to be rough going forward. I don't like the matchup with Miami. If you have other options, I would stay away from Najee Harris. Denver, Baltimore, and Washington. I'm staying away from all 3 of these backfields if at all possible until we know where they're going to go with Boone and Gordon, Latavius Murray. In Washington, you've got Robinson and Gibson and McKissick. These are just bad situations. J.K. Dobbins and Kenyon Drake, we don't really know who's getting what. Try to stay away. Much like the frustrated Packers, I think the passing attack for the Bucs shows no mercy this week. They are going to give it to Carolina, and I think it's a get-right game for Godwin, Evans, and Tom Brady. Get them all in your lineup. Obviously, no hesitation there. Finally, the return of DeAndre Hopkins. It feels like it's been 12 weeks. It's only been 6, but he's finally back with one of our favorites getting hurt, unfortunately, in Hollywood Brown. Should be out about 6 weeks from what we are hearing. The timing could not be better for DeAndre Hopkins, so get him in your lineup. The wait is over. I hope you guys have some good luck in week 7. Drunk on Broad, thanks for having us on, and come listen to the show sometime. Losing sucks. Don't do it.
I just love the losing sucks, don't do it part. It makes me laugh because it's so hard. I just traded Najee today, so we can break into our fantasy segment before final thoughts. I just traded Najee today from Mike Williams to my buddy Brian. I've been pestering him all week because he's got a shit ton of running backs or a shit ton of wide receivers, and he has no running backs, and I have a plethora. And I needed a wide receiver because I'm like, fuck, Courtland Sutton. Oh, talk about bad Monday Night Football. I needed 6 points from Courtland Sutton. Who would have thought the number 1 wide receiver on Denver couldn't score 6 points when the game goes to overtime? I
had that on one of my squads. I had that where I had I needed the running back on Denver to score 6 points.
Melvin Gordon.
And Melvin Gordon scored half of a point.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that. The guy who was eating into Javonte Williams, like superstardom, all of a sudden plays second fiddle to old man Latavius Murray, who they signed off again the trash heap. It's been such a crazy year for fantasy, so up and down. Teams aren't scoring points. The first down efficiency from these big name offenses. I was listening to the fantasy footballers, and they were saying with Green Bay, the passing attacks that you're buying into with the Chargers, the Cowboys, Tampa Bay, it's just not there. Like they're not getting the first down efficiency. It's crazy that the Chargers. How about that fucking stat? 57 passes from Justin Herbert, the most in any NFL game without a passing touchdown.
That wild.
That's nuts. It's just absolutely fucking nutty. It's been a crazy season. It's so fucking hard to even pinpoint. Every single league that I'm in, teams are separated by 2 games from either being into the playoffs so far during the halfway point or out of the playoffs.
Rich, if I would,
nobody fucking knows.
No, if I would have told you, Rich, that I had drafted Matt Stafford in our Gold Mike League, you would have thought, hey, that's a great choice.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford is on my bench because Geno Smith is starting, because Geno Smith is having a more productive season for
who would have thought Geno Smith would be better than Russell Wilson?
Right?
Because, I wrote off Seattle's wide receivers. I'm like, I'm not taking any of these guys. Geno Smith's not good. I'm like, sign me up for everybody on Denver because they're going to be fucking amazing. And complete letdown. Same thing with the Rams. Oh, man, Allen Robinson's going to be fucking huge this year. He's got a great quarterback. He doesn't even get fucking looked at until everybody starts criticizing Matt Stafford for not looking his way. And then he fucking throws in the ball and he catches it. It's fucking crazy, Don. It's madness.
Wow.
So check out Losing Sucks. Travis and those guys.
I had to lean on them for some free agent advice for my league at school. Right, I had Josh Allen on a bye, so I had to pick up a quarterback, and the best guy on the scrap heap was Trevor Lawrence. So I'm gonna hold my breath, cross my fingers, wear my lucky socks, and pray that I can get 20 points. But I also had I had to pick up Miami. I had Minnesota; they were on a bye. I had to pick up Miami.
Miami's defense this week, I love it. I picked them up. I picked up Jimmy G. I actually have not Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, who was on a bye in my one league, and then I have Kirk Cousins because I drafted Trey Lance and Russell Wilson in back-to-back rounds.
Okay,
I dropped them both. I'm like, they both suck. I can't do it. Well, Trey Lance got hurt, and then Russell Wilson sucked. So I picked up Kirk Cousins. I'm like, whatever. He's playing well. He's on a bye. Who do I go after? I'm like, Trevor Lawrence is there. I dropped Trevor Lawrence today, and I pick up Jimmy G because I'm like, Kansas City's going to be up. They're going to have to throw the ball. He should get a garbage touchdown.
Yeah, he's going to get some garbage stats.
Because Giants defense is scary. And once I realized that's who Jacksonville was playing, I was like, okay, I'm a little scared. But Don, take us into final thoughts, my brother.
Oh, listen, Rich, before we get into final thoughts, we need there's a lot of Philly sports stuff going on.
Yeah, yes, there is.
We need you to pick up the phone and hit the Broad Street line.
This is the Broad Street Line, where Philly sports fans leave all of their sports hot takes. Call 267-405-3062 and show us your passion for Philly sports. Don't forget to tune in every Wednesday at 8:30 when we listen to your live reactions to the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat.
Listen, y'all, we need you to pick up the phone. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot to celebrate. It's a big weekend last weekend, big weekend coming up this weekend. You got the Phillies in town all week. It's a bye week. Call us on Sunday while you're sitting at home on the Eagles bye week. But call. We'll take your calls from anywhere.
We will. I mean, I might have to call because I'm just going to be angry. Just why not? Just an angry, bald, non-middle-aged white guy.
All right, Rich, take us into final thoughts.
I think that's why I'm angry, because I'm bald and I'm not a middle-aged white guy. I'm still in my early 30s. And it was funny today at work. They asked me, Rich, how old are you? You're 31, right? I'm like, I think I'm 33. I'm like, I have to do the math. Born in 1989, not really sure what year it is. When you have kids, it honestly doesn't matter.
Nope.
Like your age just it doesn't. It's how old's my son?
The numbers
I got his
evaporate.
birthday correct. Like I'm constantly like saying his birthday in my head. It's just what you do. My final thoughts. Oh man, I had an interesting conversation with a patient, and it's sad because some patients that I work with are not going to get better. Some are terminally ill with cancer, and it's weird knowing when your time's up or being told when your time's up. And I was talking to this lady, and you hear it in her voice. The first time when you kind of admit like, hey, this is the end. Like I know it is. And it puts a lot of things into perspective between money and time. And, it's just sad.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like you have the conversation, you don't know what to say. And that's why that's why we preach in my field, empathy over sympathy. Like be empathetic.
Yeah.
Don't always say, oh yeah, I know how it is, but and here's my story. Just listen,
Yeah.
Life is crazy. Life is short, which is a crazy thing to say because it really is. I mean, 70 years flies in a heartbeat. 25 years flies in a heartbeat. Jesus Christ, 33 flew in a heartbeat for me.
Yeah.
Take advantage of what you have and love really fucking hard. Love as hard as you fucking possibly can because you don't know when your time's up. It's really sad and it's mundane to think about, but having the conversation with her and just putting into perspective, could I have done more? What more can I do now? And I gave her the idea of, write down like letters to your 10 grandkids and your 2 children, like about an intimate memory with just them involving you. Because legacies do live on. People don't live forever, but your legacy and what you leave behind will, and the impression that you make will always live on. People look at, me, for example, as being like the fun-loving, crazy dude who just, kind of takes life by the balls. And it's kind of how you have to be because I know how short things are. But you have to love, you try to find, as crazy as it seems, we're going to have differences with people, but try to find something you love about them and hold on to that. You don't always have to, agree with every single point somebody makes, but just make sure you kind of appreciate where they're coming from, even if it's complete opposite of what you believe in, and try to find that good. Because I don't think anybody's bad. I think people have some fucked up points and people don't agree with some shit. And I'm not going to agree with everybody because I'm very firm in my ways. After you hit 30, you're kind of set in your ways and it is what it is. But just love really fucking hard, man. Like, just go out there and just give what you can because it's what you got, right? Like your legacy is what people are going to remember. People are going to remember for the good times they had with you, the bad times, and the lessons that you like bestowed upon them. If somebody needs to talk, you listen to them. Somebody needs that crying shoulder, be that guy. Or if you break down and you have that conversation with them, like, yo, it's fine. Like, we're all human. Just at the end of the day, it's weird to say love prevails, but it really does.
Yes.
Because it's that compassion and it's that empathy that you show toward your fellow person, that separates us from different species. Sometimes it could be in the best of times, it could be in the worst of times. Just love, man. Like, it's weird. It's just when I've been working in my field for less than a year, and I've had patients who stick with me because of just the times that we had, good and bad. Like, I'll never remember some motherfuckers for the crazy ass shit that they did, and they'll come and remember me for the goofy shit that I said to make them laugh. Yeah. Just be kind, be understanding, and just, go through the motions of just being a good person. We preach that on this show a lot.
Yeah.
We're goofy dudes and we curse, we talk shit, we get angry. But at the end of the day, I can call Don and ask him anything. He can call me, ask me anything. And you have to just, be appreciative of what you have and what you have to give. Because a lot of people don't think they have a lot to give, and they do. It's just sit there and fucking listen to them. And maybe you'll find something new. That's my final thought.
Wow. Rich, it's super powerful, right? But you gotta embrace the moment, right? And I looked when I was thinking about final thoughts, I told you I wanted to talk a little bit about the Phillies, but like it was more in a sense of like just taking a step back and looking at where this sports city is at this moment, right? And know that these moments where everything is kind of hitting on all cylinders all at one time, right? You got the Eagles are 6-0 and they're playing really well, and they're going to be favored in pretty much every game from now until the end of time, right? Or end of this season, right? You've got the Sixers that are just starting their new season. The Flyers are starting their new season. The Phillies are 3 games away from playing in the World Series. And the city, you see what fandom brings to a community, right? And all that other ancillary stuff that we all argue about on a daily basis, when you sit down to watch a Phillies game, all that stuff goes away, right? And I wish that we could kind of harness that passion that we have for the sports and kind of branch that out into everyday life, right? If you can set aside your differences for that 3-hour block of time to watch a Phillies game or a Flyers game or an Eagles game or a Sixers game or whatever you want to watch, a Union, then that means that ability to be able to set aside that time is within your capability.
Yeah.
So think about, if I can sit next to this dude that I might not agree with politically or religiously or whatever the fuck it is, if I can set aside that because we're both fans of that team and we can have that conversation, we can go back and forth, we can argue about quarterback, running back, pitcher, closer, whatever, then that means that you have that ability to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So for me, like, set aside the differences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put your stuff aside. Like, it's really, really important to be able for us to have those conversations.
It's too easy to get wrapped up in the bullshit.
It really is.
Right? And that's the hardest thing for people to try to avoid. It's not easy to avoid, those things, because everybody wants boss lady. That is exactly the point. You have to teach it through the children, because it's all about kids and it's all about what they pick up. If you can set aside, like you said, on those differences for 3 hours to watch a game, you're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to want to.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's the hardest thing for us to do, because, sometimes that I get caught up in that and I can't. And there's things that are going on that I'm fearing, I'm fearing coming up with family members and different things like that, because I know I don't agree. But like you said, if you can set aside those differences and just find something that's mutual that you can agree upon, then we can do that. We can do that. It's in our nature to, want to be combative and this, but it's set it aside and find something you love and find that common ground. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to agree on everything, but find something you can agree upon and just hold on to it, because we can do it. We can do it. Philly. Check out our sponsors, Don. Bring us in, baby.
Here we go. You got. Well, first of all, the big beer sponsor, Von C Brewing in Norristown. Go check them out. They're in our link tree now. They're stuck.
Let's go. Oh, you're stuck with us now.
You're stuck with us now.
Oh, you're
right? And then if you need a new watch, go check out La Terrain. That's American made. You got Team Clicks. If you're looking to get some glasses for your Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Union, go check them out. You got Shocked Energy if you need your really good, delicious, nutritious energy drinks. Go check them up at Level Up Snacks. Streaker Sports, they got some really cool retro Philly sports stuff, along with some other sports movie stuff. So go check them out. All of that stuff is all in the link tree. You can go find them. Brother,
hey,
there's only one way to take us out right now.
I mean, you stuck around, you fucked around, and you found out. Because that's what happens when you come to Drunk on Broad. Fuck Sean Watson, fuck Spike Eskin, fuck Ben Simmons, fuck Davion Taylor. I'm still on that. I'm still on that train.
Still on it.
I can't do Davion Taylor anymore. And you know what? fuck the Padres because I am sick of those bastards. Phillies, we're pulling for you. Sixers, Flyers, we're pulling for you. It's always go Birds. It's always Philly first. We are Drunk on Broad. I'm Rich. That's Don. Join us whenever we have our show. Later, Philly.
Hey, listen to this guy. Tell me how you're feeling here. You're screaming.
I am stoked, baby.
You're screaming like it's still the game going on.
We're talking about the fightings here. The fightings. Said.
Should